Hello, everyone. Today, we don't really have a show. This is kind of weird. Today, we're just doing like a little bit of an announcement thing, getting everyone caught up to speed with what's going on with the show. We're making a couple changes. I'm not even in the studio right now, hence there was no intro music. There's no Caleb or no co-host, no gods, no masters, just me, MCS1 right now. So I want to get people caught up on a couple things that have been going on in my life, what we're doing with the show, changes, blah, 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 blah. Let's just get to it. So, first big update. I am no longer living in Utah. A bunch of stuff went down, and long story short, now living back in Iowa in the Midwest for the time being. Probably going to be here for quite a while. It's kind of a good thing I'm out of Utah. I was honestly very kind of burnt out on the place. All I really had keeping me there was my friends. And I know it sounds really callous, but I got friends everywhere. My friends in Utah are great, and I do miss them a lot. And that brings us to another point. Will Caleb still be occurring on the show, like as a reoccurring guest and co-host? Yes, we have like the technology to do like Skype interviews, and so we would just do that with him. So Caleb will still be a very big part of the show, and then more on guests later as well. Will the Happy Valley hate series stop now that I'm out of Utah? You would think that I'm, not really as upset with some of the things that were in Happy Valley now that they're not there every day to bother me. Well, when you're in a bad relationship and you totally leave or break up with the other person, and then you start thinking about all the terrible stuff you just went through while you were with them. That's kind of how I'm feeling about Happy Valley. Since I have left, I've been able to think and reflect more on my time there, and I've realized there's more and more things to point out and criticize. So we will still be having the Happy Valley hate series happening on the show, and if anything, it's got a lot more material now than I realized because of all the weird cultural norms that happen there. Speaking of me not being in Utah, BYU, and Happy Valley, since I am no longer in Utah, there was a lot of social backlash that I could have received while I was there. And so, honestly, I had to hold back on a lot of things that I wanted to say, which is terrible. And I regret doing it. But now that I'm not, and there isn't much social backlash with these people because I have to see them every day, I just want to mention that Brigham Young University and Utah Valley University are terrible schools, and just wanted to get that out there. And I'm going to be covering why in future episodes, especially UVU, Utah Valley University. We've been kind of sheltering you from the Happy Valley hate series, but you're getting pulled in. Screw you, UVU. You can quote me on that. Another thing about not being in Utah as well that's nice. I'm glad that I was out because like it was literally kind of killing me health wise with the high elevation there and the very thin air, the lack of humidity as well. And the water there is terra bad. It would just rot through my humidifiers, which I was cleaning once a week till I had to buy an industrial humidifier and then start changing out filters monthly as well. Another thing is like the pollution in Utah is really bad, like terrible. Caleb and I will be covering that in future weeks, though. And honestly, since moving back to the Midwest, I have been breathing so much better, sleeping much better at night as well. And it's seriously been great. I don't have to sleep with a humidifier most of the time, which is wonderful. Every now and then I still do, though, just to keep me from waking up dehydrated, which sounds kind of crazy, but that's just how my body is. All right, so enough about Utah and my hatred of it. Let's get into the actual show. What's going down? So when I was doing the show out in Utah, I did have quite a bit more spare time because the show was kind of my main focus. It was kind of my social life in a way. I still went out, hung out with friends, played video games with friends, did lots of other random stuff, but the show was kind of my main focus, and it was then and still is now something that like I do eventually would like to turn into a full-time job because that would be awesome. Still a ways away to get there, to get to that point, which is okay. Um, but while I was there, we were doing 2 shows a week, which was great because we had notes and content for it, and we still could do that. But right now, with me relocating, looking for a new job, and then adapting to the Midwest, and there being a lot of personal stuff for me to do and take care of, like just around my parents' house with family and a bunch of other things. I'm limiting the show right now to 1 show a week just because there's just so much going on in my life that it's hard to do 2 shows and keep up. And when I was doing 2 shows, it was hard to keep up because we weren't updating the website very much. I wasn't updating the website very much. And I want to be able to provide good show notes for the listener if they want to go check something and be like, that's not correct. I'm going to fact check that. I want them to be able to have that experience, to be able to go see the sources of where I'm getting my information, besides a lot of my random anecdotals and experience. So we are going to 1 show a week. Possibly we might have 2, like one every now and then, but it's always going to be 1 show a week. And that was kind of what I wanted at the beginning of the year, but we just had so many extra shows going on that we just wanted to move it to be 2 shows a week. And so that's why we did that. Plus with the White Trash Bash, that just kind of made it a lot easier when we were doing that fictional bracket. Also, I finally heard from the people who were putting on the fictional podcast bracket, the Podcast Madness. They're like, "Oh, we're not doing it this year. We're going to be doing it next year. Sorry." So that was kind of interesting to finally hear back from them. The other interesting thing though is during that time, Caleb and I we were actually discussing changing the name of the show to something else. And then when we got moved into the Podcast Madness thing, we backed out of it and kept it at the MCS1 show. And I think it was just a sign that we need to keep it there. Part of me still wants to change the name and do a couple other things, but I'm just going to leave it as is for now. Um, so back to the 1 show a week. Doing 1 show a week, it's going to be a good show. It's going to be the greatest show. We have the best notes and the best topics to do. And it's awesome. Some of the stuff that we have, besides the Happy Valley Hate stuff, is really good. I've had a lot of time to construct a lot of notes and research lately. And so it's been really fun. The other thing that we are going to do is have different guests on the show besides Caleb. Caleb's a great co host, but I like to mix it up and have a little bit of variety. And so that is another thing. In the future weeks, we finally got Shane Barker on the show as well, which is awesome. And that was good to hear from him. We will have the episode with him airing next week as well. And Shane's a really funny guy, so that's kind of cool. And I'll try to get him on more and more if he's willing. We'll see what happens. Um, Another thing about some of the shows and the content that we've been doing is we got mixed reactions from the White Trash Bash. We had some really, really positive support and some really negative support. So for good or bad, it's over. Um, I enjoyed it. Caleb enjoyed it, and to me, that's what's really important. Gave us a chance to touch on a lot of things. It's in the past, and we're cool with that. But we had a good time overall. So it's over. It's done. Another thing that I wanted to mention is my book, Everyone is a Sinner But Me, which I advertised at the beginning of each episode, is now available on Kindle on Amazon right now instead of having a hardback version. There was an issue with our publisher. They just took forever to print off copies, and Amazon was always sold out, and it was ridiculous. So people quit ordering. So finally, just made a Kindle version, and I'm happy about that because originally that's kind of what I wanted to do. We are looking at, or I am looking at doing a paperback version as well. The other thing is I recorded a audiobook version to be on Audible. I don't know how much I'm going to charge for that. I kind of want to keep that a very low price and just kind of have it as be for the fans or people to enjoy it as well. Um, But yeah, I just want to give you guys an update on everything that's been going on. I'm happy with all the support that I have gotten over the past few weeks in my inbox market, the mcs1show.com. I'm happy with all the support that everyone has given me during my transition period back to the Midwest. It's been awesome, the amount of love that I personally have received from everyone. So thank you, and thank you, the listeners, as well. I'm sorry that I took a little 2 week vacation while I moved and I wasn't airing any episodes. I apologize, but we're moving to the once a week format starting this week. I'm going to count this as an episode. Sorry, friends, but yeah, that's kind of the direction we're moving. If you guys have something that you want to hear more about, feel free to email me at mark@themcs1show.com and continue flooding my inbox with positive stuff. One other request that we have gotten that I am trying to somewhat work with, though, is interview the You Don't Even Know guy. Out of all the people that we have um, interviewed in the past or had on the show as guests, or people that we could potentially interview, the You Don't Even Know guy has been the most requested. Right now, it's not looking like it's going to happen anytime soon, but I kind of want to make it happen because I think it would be hilarious. But that's just me. Anyway, just want to fill everyone in on how I'm doing, and thank you guys so much for your support. And I will be talking to you guys soon. Ta ta.